As the cliche goes, April showers bring May flowers. But usually what comes after is the heat and dryness of summer. Hello again, SA here. And before the hot weather of the holiday shows up, you should indulge in my new short story, The White Cat, a free exclusive on Substack. The links are down below in description. Join Margot Thompson, a beautiful stage actress and recent widow who finds salvation in the form of a white cat during a night of terror. While checking out my oddball thriller, remember that my Glitch series is still available at Amazon and Barnes & Noble. The links are down below in the description. While you'll find my peculiar story about a white pussy entertaining, that doesn't mean I'm out of ideas. I still have more stories coming down the pike, so as long as I don't run into any mishaps, you'll see those stories as well. Now let's get back to the video.
眠れる巨人を起こし奮い立たせる結果を招いたも同然である。
Hello again. SA here. What is injustice? Or I should say a miscarriage of justice? Well, textbook definition is when the justice system or the court system basically throws a rod and basically ends up on the side of the road with 4 flat tires. Yeah, a major malfunction. And indeed, the funny thing about justice is that tends to happen a lot. Indeed, anyone who's ever seen the Statue of Justice probably always wondered, why is a woman blindfolded? And the case of the statue that you see in the Justice Department building, she has one of her boobs exposed, which I'm not going to get into. But why do you suppose she's blindfolded? Because justice supposedly is blind. And of course, you say, why is that? Don't rightly know. But personally, I wouldn't give justice an AR-15 and point in the general direction of the gun range. Might have an accident. But the thing is, blind justice has caused a lot of problems over the years. And indeed, there's been some real doozies. Like, for example, the Scottsboro Boys incident. Yeah, those guys almost got strung up for a rape that didn't happen. And then there was the Mary Fagan murder. I remember seeing a documentary about that, where some poor Jew boy got strung up for killing some little girl, and if they found out later it was actually killed by the damn janitor at the factory she worked at. Real bad news. And then of course there was the famous Dreyfus case, where that French army officer almost got strung up for treason that didn't happen. Yeah, apparently there was too many people in the French military didn't like the fact that the guy was a Jew. In fact, I remember seeing that docudrama about him, I Accuse. Yeah. Talk about being almost strung up for no reason. And then I remember this case that happened back in England, which was really bad. In fact, they made a movie about it with what's that fella that ended up in Jurassic Park? No, I'm not talking about the main star. Nah. Yeah, Attenborough. Yeah. It was a real notorious case about this guy named Christie. Yeah, he was a local serial killer in England. And one of his murder victims, the damn British police strung up the wrong guy. Yeah. Yeah, this damn guy Christie murdered this man's wife. Happened around 1950. And the damn British police accused the husband. And then they executed the guy. And then they found out afterwards, whoopsie, hung the wrong dude. And I said, like, what the fuck? And the worst thing about it was Christie, the real killer, actually testified against this poor schmuck. I think his name was Evans. Yeah. Yeah, he testified against him and he was the killer. Ain't that something else? Yeah. But of course, as with all laundry, eventually got sorted out in the rents. But it took the English a few years. Yeah. In fact, I remember first time I heard about that damn murder case. I think it was in this docudrama. I think it was called 13 Rillington Place. The docudrama came out, like, I think it came out in 1971. Like I said, where Attenborough was in it. He was playing the killer. Pretty good movie. You should look it up sometime. But this video is not about old miscarriages of justice. No, this video is about Trump. And of course, anyone who's been paying attention to the news knows what happened to him. Yeah, talk about kangaroo court. Well, I'm going to show you a snippet of a part of Jesse Waters episode where Jesse Waters talking to the man's lawyer, and believe me, you gotta see this for yourself. Already? Here we go.
Attorney Todd Blanche is here now. Did your client get a fair trial?
I mean, no, I don't think so. I mean, we've been saying for over a year that we couldn't get a fair trial in Manhattan. We couldn't get a fair trial with the judge, and it played out in lots of ways exactly as we expected.
Was this judge fair? Did he follow the rule of law?
Look, I'm not going to criticize the judge right now. I think that there were a lot of decisions that he made leading up to the trial, which really hurt us at trial, that we very much disagree with. They're part of the public record. Everything from him not recusing himself to the decisions he made during the omnibus motion process, the motion to eliminate process. And what happens in a trial is you show up for trial, and all those decisions that have been made in the weeks and months leading up to trial, they matter. The evidence that can come in, the evidence that cannot come in. And when we showed up at trial, that's where we really felt that we weren't getting a fair shake.
You believe the judge should have recused?
Look, we filed two separate motions saying that the judge should have recused himself. He didn't. It's something that we went to the first department to appeal it before the trial started. I expect that'll be one of the things that we appeal.
So you believe this judge was biased because of his donations and because of his family financial interest in the outcome of this case?
Look, our system of justice requires not only the that a judge that is actually biased to recuse himself, but that a judge that even has the appearance of bias to recuse himself. And our papers are public. We felt very strongly that there was an actual bias that this judge had. And even if not an actual bias, that there was certainly a perception of bias. He disagreed. He's the judge, and in our system, he gets to make that decision, and it's something that we get to appeal, but we certainly felt pretty strongly about our position.
You believe Donald Trump's constitutional rights were violated?
In many ways, yes.
How so?
Well, if you look at, for example, the gag order that was put in place, and you had a situation where President Trump, who's on the campaign trail and is trying to compete with voices that are saying things every day that he cannot respond to without the risk of being fined, which he was, or going to prison for violating it. That affects not only President Trump, that affects every voter, whether they're going to vote for President Trump or against President Trump. That affects every single voter in this country because they don't get to hear from the candidate. We very much disagree with that order. We appealed that as well. There was a lot about what happened over the past year that, I sit here tonight, the verdict just came down today, but really there's a lot that's happened over the past year that I think that Americans should look very hard at. Just the whole way this case was charged. The district attorney says that this type of case is a bread and butter, that they do these cases all the time. That is not true. It's just not true. This is a case that the records of President Trump's personal records, his personal checkbook from 2017, is what he was on trial for. That does not happen all the time. That doesn't happen all the time in Manhattan, and it doesn't happen all the time in any jurisdiction in this country. And that's fine. That's fine if you want to indict somebody and go after somebody for conduct that happened in 2017. But I think where it becomes problematic for me as a lawyer is don't look me in the eye and says this is bread and butter. We do this all the time. That we're treating President Trump like we treat anybody else. That's not true. That's not true.
Here was Alvin Bragg just an hour ago.
I asked Mr. Steinglass, many people said the prosecution was masterful and flawless. Just want to know how you feel at this moment. Sorry. I'll let you finish. How do you feel?
Mr. Steinglass, I think some of you probably saw him speak for a little bit the other day. So he's done his job.
So the sense of what people are getting is this is a question from a reporter praising the prosecution. And then they're laughing, Todd. They're laughing. How does that make you feel?
Listen, they won today. They won today, and they're having their celebration, I'm sure, right now, and I suppose they're entitled to do that. I guess the way I would say about how it makes me feel is it kind of confirms the point in many ways, right? So the point that we've been saying that this is not fair, this is not what this country should be doing to its political leaders, past and present, and then when you see it happen and when you see it celebrated and you hear laughter from the reporters at somebody who's just been convicted of 34 felonies, and I said this in the trial, but it's true. President Trump is an amazing man. He's president, he's running for president, and he has a public persona. He's also a husband, a father, a grandfather, and a friend to a lot of people. And so when you see that happen to him, and I was standing right next to him today, and it's heartbreaking because they're laughing at a man, at a father, at a husband, at a grandfather, and as somebody who's running for president and looks like will win. That's something that people should be troubled with, no matter who you're going to vote for.
After this came down, you guys huddled up, your team, and there was some discussion with the former president before you went and spoke to the press. What was his demeanor like in those moments?
Look, I've spent almost every day with him for 6 weeks. He's so impressive when it comes to somebody who's being that's something that people should be troubled with, no matter who you're going to vote for.
After this came down, you guys huddled up, your team, and there was some discussion with the former president before you went and spoke to the press. What was his demeanor like in those moments?
Look, I've spent almost every day with him for 6 weeks. He's so impressive when it comes to somebody who's being right? So you're talking about a man that's been indicted 4 times in 1 year in four different jurisdictions. 4 different jurisdictions, running for president and winning, and still able to just stand there and look at his staff, his team, a lot of great men and women that are around him every day, his lawyers, and just say, you know what, I got this, let's go. And that's what he was like today for sure, which was a tough day, but that's what he was like every single day. I mean, there was a lot. Everybody saw him every day. That wasn't a prop, right? That's who he is. And he went into court every day and he sat there and he had questions and he helped us and he was committed to his defense and fighting every single day, which is what he has done for the past 8 years. And so he gave me confidence today. Everybody texted me, my friends and colleagues, how are you doing? How are you doing? I'm doing fine. You know, I am. I'm doing great, and we're going to fight, wake up tomorrow and fight. Next week, my team and I are going to Florida because we have another case that we have to fight in Florida, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to go there, we're going to go into a skiff, and we're going to fight that case too. And we're doing that because he gives us the energy, and we're doing it to hopefully, you know, to help him.
How involved was Donald Trump in his own defense?
I mean, what do you think? I mean, very involved, man. He's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing. He jokingly said to us a lot, sometimes he wanted to be the litigator. You know, he wanted to be the one that was actually arguing because he's a smart guy and he knows what he's doing. We made every decision together. We did, and there were things that he was frustrated with. You know, the judge several months ago, there was we wanted to be able to argue reliance of counsel, that to some extent President Trump was relying on his lawyer, and the judge didn't allow us to do that, and things like that, where he would really push us and say, well, why can't we do this? Why can't we do that? It was an honor for me to spend the last 6 weeks with him, defending him. It didn't work out. I mean, we got a bad result today. It's not over. You know, it's not over at all, but it was great.
Were you satisfied with jury selection? And was the former president involved in that in any way?
I mean, very much involved. He was right there with the whole team talking about the potential jurors. Look, was I satisfied? We put a motion in because we said we could not get a fair jury in Manhattan. And that's not I'm not being disparaging to the jurors, man. They were great. They showed up on time every day. They were committed. They paid attention. But we're in a situation where we had a very limited number of people we could strike. And most of the folks, overwhelming number of folks, had a very strong opinion of President Trump, and it wasn't positive. And so imagine you, Jesse, going to trial facing 34 felony counts, and 100 people walk in the room, and the judge says that basically, if you have a strong view of Jesse Waters, you can go ahead and leave. Half the room leaves. Half the room just walks out. Okay, so that's what we were dealing with. And look, that's not a reflection of the jury pool. That's not even a reflection of the judge. That's just the reality of New York City.
And that's the venue. And that's the
venue.
big problem about this. Another big problem was that Biden's number 3 guy at Justice leaves Justice, goes and works for Alvin Bragg, and all of a sudden this case is resuscitated out of the blue. How do you process that?
Well, I'm not really allowed to comment on that because we're still under a gag order, but I will say that the timing of this most recent grand jury, meaning the 2023 grand jury that ultimately indicted President Trump, kicked into action less than 2 months after President Trump announced he was running for re-election. And there are coincidences, and then there's coincidences, and I don't think that that's just something that happened. Where the witnesses in this case testified about meeting with prosecutors since year of our Lord, 2019, 2018, okay? And now they're meeting again in 2023, going into the grand jury to talk about a records case that has to do with 2017. I mean, I don't have to make much of an argument there about what the situation is. It kind of writes itself.
Yeah. You put on a case. We couldn't see it. There were no cameras in the courtroom. Could you tell us tonight, the audience, what you said in closing?
Well, look, our closing was the same thing that we've been saying in our writing to the court and saying to the world for the past year, which is that you cannot convict the former president of the United States of crimes, supposed crimes that happened in 2015, 2016, 2017, when you're relying on the word of somebody who, it's not only that he is someone who's lied under oath in the past, but his life mission is to destroy President Trump. There is nothing wrong with that, by the way. To each his own. This is America. But it's not enough that he's dedicated to destroying President Trump. They're calling him as a witness at trial. And that really bothered me as a former prosecutor. It bothers me as an attorney, as somebody who's part of the judicial system for the past 20 years. There's people that really shouldn't be witnesses at trial. And I said, I'm not saying they didn't say in court, and not saying they didn't say, in filings. And so that's what we said to the jury. And they convicted today, and their verdict is their verdict, and we're gonna fight.
Would you have done anything differently? Is there a witness you said, oh, maybe I should have called that witness. Maybe I should have done this?
Yeah, I don't know. I got to think about that, man. But we had a team. You know, my team is amazing. You know, the folks that work with us they're brilliant, and the president has a team, and they're brilliant, and we all did the best that we could, and I wouldn't change anything that we did. Of course, I'm sure there's going to be folks that are on your show that take a different view, and maybe I will too at some point, but no, we did the best we could.
All right. Well, Todd, thank you very much. It was a historic case.
Okay, you saw that, right? I mean, talk about a totally busted up legal justice system. I mean, because, you know, you saw what Trump's lawyer said. I mean, these people were just, I mean, like I said, I'm not a lawyer myself, but I do know lawyers. And they were just making all kinds of failures left, right, and center. Ridiculous. And of course, even Dr. Turley, you know, that constitutional lawyer, even he said that the number of errors that the judge made was manifold. And unfortunately, because this damn case was political, there's no guarantee that it's going to be overturned on appeal. Nope. And of course, while some of these people have been talking on the damn TV news saying that, oh, these people wouldn't send Trump to prison over nonsense. You sure about that? I mean, think about it. Why did old Alvin Bragg, aka Fat Albert, basically charge Trump over 30 times? Each charge carries a 4-year sentence. I mean, you do the arithmetic in your head, that comes out to about over 150 years. We're talking about a life sentence. Now, why would they do something like that? Is it just to put the man on ice after the election? Or to put him on ice permanently? Yeah. And the stupid thing is, this happened before. But not here in the United States. No. Nope. Nope. This happened once before, a few thousand years ago. In fact, anyone who's familiar with Socrates, yeah, the poison hemlock guy. What most people don't understand is that Socrates, let's just say this, he got caught up in some really bad shit going down in Athens back during his time. And what happened? Well, according to the history books, Athens was on the losing end of the Peloponnesian War. And the Spartans won, which was great for the Spartans, but not so great for the Athenians. And according to the history books, in the aftermath of the war, the Spartans basically, you know, dictated terms. And part of the terms was that the Athenian government was overthrown and a puppet regime was set up in its place. And you say, what does that do with Socrates? I'm getting that part. Apparently, this government was later referred to as the 30 Tyrants. Why? According to the history books, there was 30 of these guys, and they were all acting like assholes. So there you go. But apparently, for some unknown reason, Socrates got caught up in that. How? I don't rightly know. The history books kind of blank on that part. But the Athenians eventually overthrew the 30 Tyrants. And afterwards, they were really butthurt about this puppet regime basically running their affairs. So they're looking for scalps. And unfortunately for Socrates, his ended up first on the list. Because according to the history books, a rival poet of his, I think his name was Melnius or Melius, I can't pronounce Greek, basically accused Socrates of working with the 30 Tyrants. So you knew at that point, his life was on contract. And sure enough, they had a quick trial and a quicker hanging. They said they didn't hang Socrates, they basically forced him to drink the poison hemlock. And that was it for him. And then, of course, the funny thing about it was, they didn't accuse him of working with the 30 Tyrants. According to the history books, his original accusation against him was that he was corrupting the minds of the youth of Athens. Now, what kind of charge is that? I don't know, but it sounds like a bullshit charge to me. Get it? Bullshit charge? Yeah, they charge him with a bullshit charge, but in fact, in reality, they were just angry over the fact that they thought that he was affiliated with these clowns who were running their affairs. Get it? Yeah. Now, who does that sound like? Sounds like some guy whose initials are DJT, perhaps? Just saying. Now, of course, no one's talking about making Trump drink the poison hemlock. But knowing how butthurt these damn Democrats and these leftists and liberals are over the fact that he won the election, now let's not even pretend, okay? Let's not pretend. This whole damn mess about Trump, half of it has to do with the upcoming 2024 election. But wait for it. Half of it has to do with the 2016 election. And what happened there? Trump won. Trump won an election he wasn't supposed to win. And these leftists, these liberals, these DNC types, after almost 8 cotton-picking years, are still butthurt over the fact that their precious Hillary didn't make it across the finish line. And just like those Athenians over 2,000 years ago, they're looking for scalps too. Because I think you may have heard that after Trump, they're looking to put Steve Bannon's head on a pike. Yeah, that's right. Supposedly this damn wannabe judge, supposedly his next court case is going to be Steve Bannon's. And you can probably guess what's going to happen to him. Yeah. So what happens now? I don't rightly know. But if these damn Democrats are as butthurt as those ancient Athenians, I'm not expecting that Trump's going to walk away with a fine and maybe a week's worth of house arrest. No. I don't think so. I think they're going to throw the book at him. I think they're going to ask for the maximum sentence. Now, of course, there's a lot of people going to cry foul, but you know what? These damn DNC types, at this point, they're saying, fuck you and fuck your mamas. We don't care. We want this man buried underneath the jail forever. And that's it. Okay? Are we clear now? All right. So what do we do? Honestly, I don't know. I know people keep talking about, oh, we have a system, oh, we have a rule of law, we have to work within the system. Yeah, well, guess what? What's going on right now is the equivalent of playing a game of poker, except the guy on except the Democrats are sitting there keep taking money out of the pot. And keep looking at everybody's cards to see where everyone has. Now you sitting there seeing them cheating, and you telling them that, hey man, stop it, because we want a guy to play by the rules. But guess what? They don't want to play by the rules. They threw the rules out the window, and then they threw a damn Molotov cocktail out the window on top of it to make sure it got burned up. And of course, now the people understand what they're dealing with, what we're going to do about it. Now, of course, old Tim Pool, he keeps using the CW word. And I'm not referring to the damn TV channel either. Now, me personally, I don't want to use that word either. Because what we're dealing with is something along the lines of what was going on during the waning days of the ancient regime. And you say, what the hell is that? Well, that's what they used to call the French government before the revolution. Refer to it as the ancient regime. Now, right now, some of you smart cookies out there saying, oh, yeah, that's right. Now, do we want a revolution in this country? Personally, no. But I think a long time ago, I can't remember if it was Patrick Henry or if it was John Adams, but it was one of those early founding fathers who once said that America needs a revolution every 20 years just to keep the politicians honest. And I'm thinking, yeah, considering what he went through during those days leading up to the Revolutionary War, I figure, yeah, because they were dealing with a lot of injustice coming from the damn English crown. And even though many of the people who were living in American colonies didn't want to fight, the British crown, nose to nose, toe to toe fight with muskets at 10 yards, no. But I guess the damn English crown basically forced them into it. They just kept pushing and pushing and pushing until, as Popeye once said, or as like Popeye once said, they stand so much and they can't stand no more. Now, is the DNC going to make the same mistake that old King George III made? Keep pushing and pushing until people finally put their foot down and say, we had enough, and then put down the mic and pick up the AR-15? I don't rightly know. But if it ever gets to that point, I won't call it a civil war as old Tim Pool will call it. I will call it a revolution. Because that's what happens when you're dealing with tyrannical governments that just won't leave you alone. And eventually you get fed up and do something about it. Makes you wonder how history would be different if Donald Trump had never run for president now, huh? We'd probably be in a whole lot worse shape because we would be in the second term of Hillary Clinton in all likelihood, and we'd probably be in the same position we are right now. A failing country where everything's falling apart, and in a nation that's on the verge of a global war with some of the most dangerous people on earth, namely the Ruskies, the Chinese, and all those other people. Yeah. Reminds me of a scene from that film, The Time Machine. Not the original George Powell version. No. I'm talking about the remake that Guy Pearce made later. Because there was a scene in there where he was talking to his friend about how he built his time machine to go back in time to save his girlfriend. And he spoke about how no matter how many times he tried, she kept dying in different ways. And then he finally concluded that her death was inevitable, that it couldn't be avoided. Well, all I can say is I hope that the worst thing in the world doesn't occur. That I hope somehow, some way, someone puts the brakes on this runaway train that we're on. Because if no one puts the brakes on, these United States are headed for a crash. A big, ugly crash. And I think no one has no idea what's going to happen afterwards. Nope. Because once you break the dishes, it's going to be really hard to pick up the pieces afterwards. Just saying. And as for old Trump, all I can say about old Trump is I have to admit that guy's got balls of stainless fucking steel. Or either that, he's a consummate optimist. Just saying. I guess he must have read that poem by that guy Hentley. I remember hearing it once before. Pretty good poem. It was in that movie that Morgan Freeman made about Nelson Mandela. The poem was called Invictus. Yeah, well, I'm going to finish up this video now by reading that poem, if you don't mind too much. Yeah, this poem was written back in the 19th century. Are you ready? All right. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever God may be for my unconquered soul. In the felt clutches of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeoning of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds that I shall find me unafraid. It matters not how strained the gate, how charged with the punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate, the captain of my soul. Yeah. Well, that's all I have to say about this whole damn Trump mess and the injustice that he's going through. That's my opinion.